We've heard that phrase, don't judge a book by its covers. Well, Luke embodies that. He can see behind these troubled youth, the individuals who are antsy, aggressive, troublesome as far as the schools are concerned. They want them out the way. Well, somehow Luke is attracted to them and they are attracted to Luke because he's been there. Luke, can you tell us more about From Parent to Mentor, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Wendy, for your introduction. I really appreciate it. And thanks to the Your World's Our Power team for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this and share something that I'm really passionate about. A little bit about me. I'm a counselor. I have my own private practice, work with parents and young people just to help their families understand each other a little bit further. I work with schools. I'm currently a counselor at a school to work with young people and their families. And the one thing that I do a lot, and a lot of my time is taken up with, is working with parents for them to understand their young people, staff to be able to deliver meaningful content for the students that are at the high school, and just navigate the maze of mental health, which is quite a severe thing that's happening around us now with all the COVID stuff and the things that we had with lockdowns. So I just want to start by saying parent to mentor is a challenge. It's a huge challenge, just like with young people that they transition from primary school to high school, which my son's doing next year. This part here is parenting, I would have to say, is probably the toughest job in the world. It comes with a lot of judgment, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of worry. And I feel like, there's no book. There's just no book to parenting. And it's probably the hardest part of learning as an adult when we have kids is how do we do this? Are we doing the right thing? And a lot of the times we're probably not, but we're learning as we go, right? And what I found is that parents in general will either parent the same as their parents parented them, or they'll do the complete opposite. And a lot of the times what we find is that they don't necessarily take the gold out of both, especially if you're parenting complete opposite to your parent, way your parents parented you. You'll probably find that in general, you haven't taken some of the good things that they gave you because you view it as such a negative experience. And there's no right way. I have to say this right now. There's no right way of going about parenting. There's no book, there's no direction. The only guidance we have is the guidance we see from our parents, stuff we've experienced from our parents, our grandparents, and the people around us. So you're doing the best you can with what you have available to you. And that's one thing I have to say, we have to own. It's okay. You're doing the best you can, and that's all you can do. But what I want to give you right now is some understanding about how we can shift from parent to mentor, so that way we can alleviate some of the stresses that come along with some of the things that happen with the challenges that parents are facing from a day-to-day basis. So shifting from parent to mentor is more about trusting your instincts. I feel like a lot of the time when parents are being spoken to by schools, by their other friends, and the judgment that comes along with it from themselves and from others, they don't necessarily listen to their instincts or trust them. So when we think about the Western philosophy of psychology and all those sorts of things, we look at it and say, this is brain and this is mind and the rest of us is just body. Well, I much prefer the Eastern philosophy of things, which says to us that this is brain that decodes what my mind, my heart, and what my gut, my body says. And when we trust these two parts here, our heart and our gut, we don't necessarily make wrong choices because we're guided by the things that are most important to us. It's value-based, where our brain is really designed to keep us safe. It really is. So if we can get out of our mind and listen to what our instincts is telling us, you'll find that you'll have a much better relationship with your young people. So I've got this model, and I've created this model. It's a 9-step model, and there's so much in it. But I thought that I would condense that, because we've only got 10 minutes. Thought I'd condense that into 3 parts for you. Probably the 3 parts that you can take away from today and implement straight away. So I like this. I love, and I learned this throughout my counseling degree. I learned this through coaching. I learned this through working with mentors and the conversations I get to have with with mentors and the network that I'm connected to, I love this rule. I have an 80-20 rule, and I feel like parents could do the same. And the one thing that I found is when parents have implemented the 80-20 rule, they've changed the game. They've changed the relationship. They've changed the connection, and they're able to start to transition into that mentor role, which is so important because, we can't save our kids from everything, which is what we do as parents. So what is the 80-20 rule? The 80-20 rule is pretty simple. So I give 80. I give 80% of everything, which as a parent, it always feels like we're doing way more than that, right? It feels like we're doing 100% all the time. We're giving, giving, giving. And because we're time poor, we're run down. We're stressed. We feel like we don't have enough sleep. So if we're going from an 80-20 rule, 80% is for them, 20% is for us. So what does that look like? So I like to think about it like this, like I can't draw it right now, but I would normally draw it. So imagine a yin and yang. You have a giving and you have a receiving. You can't have one without the other. And a lot of the time I find that most parents are blocking the 20%. And that would look like us listening and trusting our advice. We're following through, we're modeling that. But we're also listening to our kids too, because they live in a different age to us. We're living back then. That's in when we grew up. They're living now. So they've got stuff to give us that we don't have yet. There's wisdom in both. And we'll go into wisdom real shortly. So I hope that that makes sense to you. 80-20 rule changes the game completely in our relationship. The second part that I wanted to discuss with you is regulation. Regulation is so huge. If you can't remain regulated with your young person when you're having a chat with them, how are they going to respond to you in a positive light? They're not. We're continually matching and mirroring. Our nervous systems are communicating on a subcortical level, which is body. Okay, so our body's communicating and matching each other. So if you approach it with a negative body language, they're going to follow you. That includes the facial muscles. So if your facial muscles and even the little muscles around your eyes, if they're squinting and they're a little tight, they're going to match it with the same. So think about how we go about that. How do we remain regulated? And there's so much stuff on the work that Stephen Porges did on the polyvagal theory. And if you definitely check out vagal toning, that will change the game for you because it will allow you to regulate in the moment and trusting your instincts, because if you're feeling that way, so are they. So really get to understand what's happening for you because you're matching them and they're matching you. And then we expect more from them than what we're willing to give in the relationship. The last part I want to discuss with you, because I'm mindful of time, is pass down your wisdom. What I mean by that is, it's not just about knowledge. Our kids have got a phone, right? They can pick up a phone anytime and find whatever they want out. We've got knowledge because we have lived experience that they don't have. And a lot of times I found that parents look at, okay, here's my problem. Here's my kid's problem. And they go straight to the outcome. This is where you've got to be. When our kids know this much, and that's all they know. But we don't have to give them this. We just need to fill the gap. What's the gap? What's the next step? Remember, we don't have to know everything. Okay, they know more about now, these times now, than we do. So we just need to fill the gap. We don't have to go all the way to the end. Going all the way to the end really overloads people, and it doesn't allow your gut to come into play. It doesn't allow you to go, hey, this is the lived experience I had, and this is what I want to give you, but I'm going to give it to you in a scaffold way. Education system does everything scaffold. It works. That's why they do it. So we need to follow the same process. Just give the next step. Just give the very next step. That's true mentoring, not teaching, mentoring, and then let them go away and play around with it. They're going to make mistakes. That's where their wisdom is going to build. It's kind of a bit like thinking about going to the gym, right? If we go to the gym and I go pump the weights for you, are you going to get stronger? Chances are no, obviously not, right? However, if we go to the gym together and we work out together, we both get to grow our muscles. We're no longer working in deficit, we're working in strength and power, which creates wisdom, not knowledge. There's so much more I could talk about today. I could go on about this forever because I really love it. And I love watching parents change and shift and start to get to know more about what they have to offer their young people, but also what they have to offer themselves, because you're the last one that you look after. You look after everybody else around you. We save everybody. We need to move away from saving and move into support. What does that look like for you and your family? If you want to know more about that, please reach out to me through social media on Facebook. Please just look up Lee Tet Counseling and Coaching. Send me a message and let's have a chat about your circumstances. Let's have a chat about how we can help you. Or please send me an email at connect@leetet.com.au, and I'm always open for a chat. Thank you so much for listening today. I really appreciate it. Guys, take care.